Video games are good for kids.
Video games can help you be more social.
Gaming has proven health benefits.
So having gaming as the glue
with
for
that.
friendship
Not
online
just
is definitely good for you.
Look, I know you don't want to hear this, but gaming is not good for you. Most people can agree that porn, drugs, social media are bad, but for some reason, video games are widely considered to be acceptable and even healthy. Let me make something very clear. There is nothing good about gaming. Gaming isn't the reason you have friends, it's the reason you have none. Gaming isn't a good stress relief. It's the reason you feel so stressed out because you keep procrastinating, not exercising, and staying up late because of gaming. Gaming isn't a good way to escape your reality. It's the reason your reality sucks in the first place. Gaming is the fast lane to mediocrity. And if a mediocre life sounds good to you, then fine, keep gaming. Now you might be thinking, yeah, gaming isn't good for you if you play 10 hours a day, obviously. But anything can be okay in moderation, right? I used to think the same thing. Back when I gamed, my life was going good. I trained 5 times a week. I had good grades in school, things were going good. But that's the trap of gaming. You see, I was doing the bare minimum. The thing is, I would do my workout for the day, I would study for about an hour, just so that I could start gaming for the day. If you feel like you're in the same situation, where you do what you must do, but then you spend the rest of your day gaming, you need to realize that gaming is holding you back massively. It's not ruining your life, it's just keeping you far from your full potential. I'm gonna start with 3 reasons why you need to quit video games, and then I'm gonna show you how. Reason number 1, it's overstimulating your brain. If you've been a gamer for a while, you'll notice that most things outside of gaming are pretty uninteresting. This is because gaming leads to levels of dopamine that are way above your baseline, and so your brain comes to expect it. Anything that produces lower levels of dopamine seems so uninteresting. I mean, think about the other ways you spend your time. Anime, weed, TikTok, those are all things that considerably raise your dopamine level. And so you become numb to life's simple pleasures. Have you seen those older men sitting out on their porch all day watching the cars go by? That's the brain of someone who can be entertained by simple stuff, whose brain isn't fucked by modern addictions. And so when it comes down to doing important work, who do you think will do better? Someone who needs constant surges of dopamine, or someone who can be entertained for hours and hours playing Sudoku? When you quit gaming, you realize how much easier it is to do your work, to have conversations with people and not be bored out of your mind, or just to read a book. Reason number 2, gaming is a waste of time. Most of you are playing 3 to 5 hours on weekdays and busting out 8-hour-long gaming sessions on weekends. Now, I don't need to tell you that spending that much time on something useless is a waste of time. You're probably aware of that, but you're still gaming, so you might not realize just how worthless you consider your time to be. Now, the game I spent the most time playing was RuneScape. From 2018 to 2022, I spent over 6,000 hours on that game. In total, including all the other games I've played, I've spent well over 10,000 hours playing video games. That's over 1 year of my life gone. Over 1 year of my life spent on something that I have nothing to show for. Realize this, the time you've spent on gaming, the time you keep spending on gaming, and the time you will continue to spend on gaming is all wasted. It might as well be thrown out the window because that time has done nothing for you. What if you spend that time on hobbies and activities that increase your dating prospects, that increase your income, that strengthen your relationship with your friends and your family members? Hobbies and activities that improve who you are as a person instead of who you are in a virtual world. Imagine what you could have achieved. Oh, but Lucas, I only play 1 hour a day. What's the harm in that? Okay, let's say you're telling the truth. You still only play 1 hour a day on weekends? And throughout your days, even if you're not physically gaming, how much time do you spend thinking about gaming? Or talking about it? A lot, isn't it? Reason number 3, gaming is suppressing your core motivations in life. You see, as a man, some of the things that motivates us the most to act are the following: status, a sense of progression, and the need to achieve. Can you name one of those desires that can't be fulfilled inside video games? Status, a sense of progression, the need to achieve. You see, beyond the fact that you're overstimulating and wasting your time, gaming is making you docile. By satisfying your core motivation, you lose much of the drive necessary to achieve anything in real life. When you reach Master Prestige in Call of Duty, there's no point in climbing the ladder at your job. When you're working on level 99 runecrafting, there's no point in making progress in the gym. When you've beaten all the bosses on Dark Souls, what's the point of achieving the highest grade in your class? When most of your core desires as a man are achieved in the virtual world, there's little reason to act in the real world. The problem is when you chase and achieve those goals in video games, you're left with nothing. Instead, use your craving for status, need for a sense of progression, and thirst to achieve in the real world. When you stop satisfying these desires in the virtual world, you'll be surprised by how much you can achieve when you bring the same drive into real life. Imagine this. You've had a long day working a job you don't like. You get back home and hop on your PC. The boys are online, great. 2 hours pass, you're hungry. You don't have the motivation to cook, so you order a pizza. Your food arrives. I'm gonna sit this one out, boys. You watch anime while devouring the entire pizza. You promised you would leave some for your lunch tomorrow, but the pizza was just so good, and you have no self-control. You hop back on the game. Next thing you know, it's midnight. You're always surprised by how quickly time flies when you're playing video games. Alright boys, I've gotta get off now. Oh, one more, they say. Fine. It's now 2 a.m. You couldn't stop yourself from playing 5 more games. You can't help but feel frustrated and a little bit ashamed at yourself for staying up so late when you have work the next morning. And yet, you repeat this the next day and the day after that. You're a prisoner. Now imagine this. You get home from work. The weather is nice, so you decide to put on your bathing suit. You relax by the pool and bathe in the sun for a while. Next, it's time to hit a workout. You train harder than the last time. The pump is visible to everyone. After a hard session at the gym, you get back home and cook a nutritious meal. Your muscles are replenished. They thank you. It's only 7 o'clock. You're astounded by how long the evening seems since you stopped gaming. You open up your learning language app. Tiempo para otra lección de español. You sit on your front porch with the latest self-improvement book you've been reading. You have the humility to accept and absorb the wisdom and knowledge of men that came before you. You look up and admire the sunset. Your body feels it's time for sleep. You head to bed. You can't help but feel proud of yourself. You've come a long way. You repeat this the next day and the day after. Time is power, and you intend on using it to its full potential. You're free. By the way, this next section is based off of James Clear's Atomic Habit. Check it out. Habits are made up of 4 components, 4 steps if you will. The first one is the cue. For example, seeing the cookie jar on the counter. The second is the craving. You see the cookie jar, and now you want a cookie. The third is the response. You want the cookie, and so you eat one. The final step is the reward. You eat the cookie, and the craving is satisfied. To break a habit, we must attack all 4 components. If one of them fails, the action will not occur. If you don't get the cue, you won't ever think about the habit. If you don't get the craving, you won't feel the desire to do it. If there is too much friction involved in doing the bad habit, you won't have the motivation to act on your craving. And finally, if the reward is not satisfying enough, you won't have a reason to repeat the action. So, to stop gaming, we are going to make the cue invisible, make the craving inexistent, make the response difficult, and make the reward unsatisfying. Step 1, make it invisible. Let's first identify the cue for gaming. Now, this is going to be different for everyone. Matter of fact, these few steps are all going to differ depending on your situation. So I encourage you to find your own solutions for each step, but I'm still going to give you ideas. So personally, the cue of gaming for me was just getting back home from school or work and not having anything to do. Anytime I had nothing on the agenda, I would game. So how would I go about making that cue invisible? I would make a to-do list. If you know that every time you have nothing to do, you hop on your PC, then make sure you always have something to do. The way to do this is by planning out your days. It will look something like this. If the cue to gaming is not knowing what to do, then having a step-by-step plan to all your days will ensure you that you never get that feeling, since you'll always know what to do just by looking at your plan for the day. Now, the cue for you might be something different, like your friends texting you to play, or feeling stressed out, or wanting to relax before bed. In this case, ask your friends to stop texting you about gaming. And whenever you feel stressed out, just take 10 deep breaths and pet your cat or your dog. Ultimately, you need to find the cue that makes you think of gaming and make it as less visible as possible. Step 2, make it unattractive. The next step is to make the act of gaming undesirable so that you don't get the craving for it. Right now, when you think of gaming, you think about all the positive things: entertainment, adventure, teamwork, relaxation. All these nice things create a craving. To eliminate this, we must reprogram our brain so that every time we think of gaming, we don't think of the positive things, we think of the negative ones. We must make a list of the negative consequences of gaming. Take out a piece of paper. On this paper, you will write down all the nasty effects of gaming on your life. And be honest, you can even exaggerate it a little. Trust me, it'll help. Here's a few examples of things to write down: less money, less friends, less opportunities, less freedom, less bitches, worse health, feeling and looking like a cave dweller, social skills of a hermit. You will place this piece of paper near your PC or your console so that every time you decide to game, you see it. Every time you hop online, please read the list you've made for yourself. If you still have the craving, you are choosing to be a cave-dwelling hermit. If that doesn't sound unattractive enough, I don't know what will. Step 3, make it difficult. The next step is to make the decision of gaming as difficult as possible. You'll be surprised at how little friction is actually necessary to make a bad habit difficult to do. For gaming, every time you're done playing, unplug the console or the PC and put the power cord away in a different room. If you're feeling even more motivated, grab the entire PC or the console and put it away in your basement closet. I don't know about you, but having to go get my PC from a different part of the house and having to plug everything everything back in will give me second thoughts about hopping online. Now I know what you're thinking. Unplugging your console and putting it away every time you're done gaming. That sounds ridiculous. You might even think you don't need this to stop gaming. Let me make something very clear. If you're serious about wanting to quit video games, you need to trust me. At this point, you should have identified the cue and found a way to make it invisible. You should have a list of all the consequences of gaming on your life, and you should have figured out a way to make gaming as difficult as possible. If you've come here with the attitude of wanting to quit gaming but not really wanting to bother with all these extra steps I've asked you to do, then you're going to fail. If you think you can quit gaming using your own judgment and willpower, then I'm sorry, but you're mistaken. Just look at where your judgment and willpower have taken you so far. I know this was hard to hear, but I had to say it. If you haven't already, please pause this video and complete the tasks I've asked you to do so far. Step 4, make it unsatisfying. Now, if you fail the first 3 steps, the action will occur. You will game. To make sure it doesn't happen again though, you need to make the reward unsatisfying. The best way to do this is to have an accountability partner. Tell your wife, your mom, or sibling that you are no longer gaming or reducing your hours. Tell them that you're only allowed to play on weekends, or that you're not gaming on Mondays and Tuesdays, or that you're just quitting cold turkey. Make them feel like you're serious about this so that they get on board and support you. If you break your commitment and they catch you gaming on a Monday when you said you weren't gonna game on Mondays, then ask them to judge the shit out of you. If you have an ego, the disappointment on their faces will leave the experience of gaming when you weren't supposed to quite unsatisfying. To take this a step further, if you break your commitment, you are obligated to send your commitment partner a certain amount of money. Having to give away 20, 30, or even 50 bucks will surely make you regret picking up the controller. As humans, we have a deep desire to make our loved ones proud of us and not disappointed. An accountability partner will destroy the reward of gaming. So to recap, I've made an example of what the 4 different steps might look like in practice. There is one detail I haven't mentioned yet, and it might be the most important. You might not be ready to quit. On the self-improvement difficulty ladder, gaming is up there with porn for some people. If you just quit cold turkey without a plan, you will most likely fail. And every time you fail, you will lose confidence, and the idea of quitting gaming will seem more and more impossible. That's why we need to put in the right action plan so that we eliminate the risk of failure and guarantee success. When I stopped gaming, the rest of my life was pretty solid. I was going to the gym, I made a commitment to getting good grades, and started thinking of alternative ways of making money. My point is that I wasn't completely lost without gaming because I had things to replace gaming with. Look at your life. Apart from gaming, what else do you do? If you just stop gaming tomorrow, you'll just replace gaming with another one of your bad habits until you eventually go back to gaming. So how do we prevent this and make sure we're ready to quit? Let's go back to the 3rd reason why gaming is bad for you. It fulfills fundamental need for man. If you want to make sure you don't relapse, you need hobbies and activities that fulfill those needs. More specifically, status, a sense of progression, and the need to achieve. Before you stop gaming, ask yourself, what could I do to satisfy those needs outside of gaming? For status, you could start taking your job more seriously and work towards a more respectable position. Or you could get good at something, like chess for example. Every time you go to chess club, you'll feel important with your 1600 chess rating. All the chess girls will look at you when you walk into the room. Status, baby. Next is a sense of progression. The gym is a good example for this. Progressing towards harder and harder exercises. Progressing towards heavier and heavier weights. Making progress towards your dream physique. Now this is not going to feel anything like video game progress, because video game progress is, for the most part, instant. You constantly feel the progression. In real life, progress is slow and grueling, but it feels so much more satisfying in the end. The final thing is the need to achieve. Set a goal, for example, running a 10K, getting the highest grade in your class, making a certain amount of money in a month. Reaching these goals will satisfy your thirst for achievement and keep you away from gaming. Video games were once simple. They were very one-dimensional, not very stimulating, just something to keep you entertained for a short time. But inevitably, as technology progressed, so did the game's complexity. Vast worlds you could explore, cooperation between friends to achieve a goal, things to keep you entertained for hours and hours. When looking at gaming nowadays with crystal clear graphics and virtual reality starting to feel real, a certain question arises. Where is gaming going? Where does it end? You see, as overstimulating and addictive as gaming is right now, it's going to get exponentially worse. Worlds are going to get vaster, progressing is going to feel more satisfying. At some point, you won't be able to tell the difference between the real world and the virtual world. Good luck quitting at that point. The longer you continue to game, the harder it will be to quit. If you quit gaming today, it might be the hardest thing you've ever done. But I need you to listen to me. I quit in November of 2022, and since then, there hasn't been a single day where I've regretted that decision. It's the best thing I could have done for myself and my future. It's time to put the controller down, to let go of the mouse. Join the countless men who are taking back control of their lives and saying no to modern and addictions that have been poisoning our brains for years. There's a strong, disciplined, and focused man inside all of us. It's time to let him out. All right, that's the video. That's the script done. This is unscripted, this next part. So I quit gaming in November 2022, like you heard. It's September now, so it's almost been a year. I quit cold turkey. I haven't touched video games since. I don't think I ever will again. That being said, I think about gaming pretty much every single day. I think about primarily RuneScape, the game I was pretty much addicted to. I also think about other games. It's extremely hard. It's always on the back of your mind. I'll go sometimes days without thinking of it, but it always comes back. Gaming addictions are very real, and I think they're much more common than we think. I mean, this shit is like crack, honestly. I mean, I've literally been off of it for 10 months, and I still think about it almost every single day. Look, I don't know if this thing is going to work for you. It did for me, okay? But you're going to need tremendous willpower, okay? Because quitting gaming is by far the hardest thing I've ever done. I mean, so many men are just living for their games. Honestly, during the pandemic, I would be on RuneScape almost every single hour I was awake. And I think a lot of men are just living for video game. They work, they get back home, and they hop on the game. And that's it. That's their lives. We need to talk about this shit. We have to stop accepting it. It seems so normal now. Everybody's talking about gaming. What's your favorite game? What's your level in this? What's your rank in that? This shit is pathetic. Gaming is not cool. Gaming is fucking lame. Honestly. Anyway, I don't want to get carried away here. This isn't the point of this video. So, anyway. You even still watching at this point? Stop gaming.